Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Uncle Garrett.
And Aunt May.
So nice to see you here and so happy to be with you again. So today we're going to cover the topic, why is my girlfriend always angry? So this question has come up a lot, probably because there are a lot of very angry girlfriends out there. Is she always yelling at you? Is she always cursing and complaining and nagging and exploding on you? Are you both at your wits' end? Well, the so-called experts also have a lot of remedies for you, and many are conflicting. How do you know what's right? How do you know what's good and bad advice? Well, the answer is that it depends on the source of your girlfriend's anger and her ability to modulate her emotions. So, first of all, have a little sympathy for your girlfriend. Realize it's pretty hard being a young lady today, especially in the last few decades. Women have been lied to and propagandized for a very long time. Dark powers have convinced them that the act of raising a family is demeaning to them, and their true worth is working some job in the corporate world. Well, that's great for the dark powers that tell them so, because they can extract more wealth out of the world, but it's been terrible for women. They're much less happy than they were before they entered the world of work. Take a step back and just think about it. For example, working on marketing materials to sell some product, or working a daycare job, or selling products is supposed to be more meaningful than developing and nurturing a new life to bring it into the world. What is more meaningful or rewarding than raising children? Okay, if you go out and find a cure for cancer or something like that, I grant you great significance. But how often does that happen? And how many women really have the opportunity to do something like that? Not very many. And honestly, I've seen so many children just terribly neglected and psychologically damaged because of a mother's belief that she has to have a career, and somehow that's more important than their own children. And on top of that, there are countless mothers out there who are terribly stressed. They're trying to do both a career and raising children, and they're sucking at both, and they're feeling terribly stressed and guilty about it. And if that weren't enough, young women are being told they have to be like men. They have to be strong and independent and wicked smart. They have to be accomplished and logical and financially prosperous and also super sexy. According to the movies, she should be able to decimate a gang of armed, burly soldiers with her left pinky, but then be soft and irresistible after she saved the world with her wit, charm, and kung fu. Well, if they're successfully in essentially acting like men, then men lose interest. Well, because they're not gay. So then the women conclude that the men are simply intimidated by strong women.
So women have to be strong and indomitable, but feminine and yielding to her man. They need to have a great career, but have time to raise children. And they have to find a man who is strong and dangerous to the outsiders, but gentle and vulnerable to his family, to her. And figure out they need to figure out what that young man will be like when he's in the middle age, after suffering all the slings and the arrows of life.
So is it any surprise that women can be a little bit crazy sometimes? I find it surprising that any are sane at all anymore. So have a little sympathy. actually have a lot of sympathy.
Okay, so let's look at the source of anger possibly she could have. So first of all, if she starts getting real emotional over seemingly really small things, it's usually not that thing that she's emoting over at any given time. Let's look at the things that more likely actually bothering her. So the first cause, it could be she doesn't really feel you love her. So she might feel like you don't listen to her, or even worse, that she feels like you're using her for sex. And another reason that could cause it could be she's worried you're not the right man for her. And also could be she's worried she's not the right woman for you. And the last cause could be that you do have to consider if she has any psychological problems that she hasn't cured yet. So it could be narcissism, and it could be borderline personality disorder, and it could be bipolar, and it also could be unresolved trauma, the past emotional trauma.
Right. Yeah. So let's look at the first source of anger here, that she doesn't feel you love her. So if a woman knows deep in her heart that you truly love her, virtually all the small irritants can be forgiven easily. On the other side, if she doubts that you love her, the smallest thing can set her off. So telling her you love her many times a day will not solve this problem. In fact, it could make it worse. Right, Aunt May?
Yes. Yes, she had to feel it, not to use the ear to hear it, but her heart has to feel it.
Yeah.
If she have any clue that you are using her for sex, she will hate you at some level. Even while having sex with you, even if it appears to be enthusiastic about it. To be blunt, if you are having sex with her and you're not married, you are using her for sex.
Yeah. And, don't tell us, oh no, you don't understand. We really love each other and we'll get married someday. Okay. I say, oh yeah. Okay. Prove it to me. Propose marriage to her tomorrow. Well, within 24 hours. Take some time to get a ring and stage a nice public romantic show to propose to her. It won't take long to plan if you're really serious about it. Then set a marriage date. Set it for next week. You can plan a big ceremony in a church sometime a little later if you want, but for now, at least just go to the justice of the peace and get officially married. So if that sounds like, oh boy, and if that makes you take a big swallow and you think, ooh, wow, that's a big step. Well, if that's your reaction, you are using her for sex. She may not be able to articulate it, or maybe she already has, but she knows deep down you're using her. And deep down in some corner of her heart, she hates you for it. That's because when she was a little girl, she fantasized about a big fancy wedding someday, where she was the most beautiful and admired woman of all the wedding party. And now she's being reduced to an object of pleasure.
Not only that, you're making her future uncertain because she's having sex with you. She invested fully in you. And she had the fear of the possibility that her huge investment will go broke because you don't have the guts to stand up and make a commitment in public before getting all the benefits of the marriage. And on top of that, and you expose her to the possibility of abortion that could be the source of depression, the health problem. So she's worried.
Yeah. So moving on here, another way she can not feel loved is that you don't listen to her. And, well, of course you listen to her, but it's likely you're not listening to her in a way that makes her feel listened to and understood. So here's how you do it. Set aside about an hour every evening. This is especially true if your relationship is relatively new. And we define relatively new like less than 7 years. Or if you haven't had a long period in your relationship already where you've done this every night, make sure she knows this is her time to talk with you. There might be times she doesn't want to, or you're both too busy, but make that the default activity. Secondly, ask her open-ended questions. Ask questions like how she feels about this and that and everything in her life. Ask her what she likes and dislikes about you.
Other important points are like, as she talks, give her feedback to let her know that she's being understood. And say things like, "Oh, that sounds awful," or "Wow, you must really enjoy that." And also be curious about her and let her answers lead to more questions like, "Why did you react that way?" Or "What do you suppose to let your love off?" Blah, blah, blah. And don't offer advice, correction, judgment, or criticism unless you are invited. And the last is allow and encourage her to do the same thing for you.
Right. So this style of listening will lead her to the conclusion that you truly love her because you've taken the time to really listen to her. And more importantly, you understand her. Being understood is a powerful thing. We humans are a touchy bunch, especially the females of our species. And sometimes we have no idea what to do on this stage of life, and it feels pretty uncomfortable. But if we're at least understood by someone who knows all of our flaws, foibles, and insecurities, well, then we'll have the great comfort and confidence that arises from that.
Now, let's look at, in the case of she's worried that you're not the right man for her. Have you ever wondered why women can't seem to make up their minds what they want in a man? Have you ever wondered why some women always seem to choose the bad boys and pay dearly for it? Okay, it turns out it's pretty hard to find an ideal man because it's hard to be ideal man.
He has to be handsome, yet rugged. He has to be prosperous, yet easygoing. He has to be tough and downright dangerous to anyone who threatens her, but yet a soft teddy bear to her. He has to be youthful and adventurous, yet wise and steady guide. He has to be in touch with his emotions, but also her steady rock when her emotions are storming. He has to be able to shred anyone who might hurt her future children with him, yet a tender guide to those same children. And if that's not hard enough, if that man is in his early 20s, his brain isn't even fully formed yet. But she has to guess if those character traits will not only last through his final development stages, but decades into the future. Oh, yes. And he has to be very attractive, and he has to think she is very attractive also.
In other words, she has an impossible choice. Of course, you are not the ideal man, because none exist. So deep down in her mind, her subconscious is making calculations. Are the current compromise good enough? Will they be good enough for 10 years? From now, raising a family? Will they be good enough 30 years from now when she's lost most of her value as a potential marriage partner, but he still has a lot of his potential partner value?
Yeah. And some girls will want to test you. One common test is to just get a little hysterical and just see how much of an emotional anchor you can be. Many times this is completely subconscious. She'll lash out just to either get you angry or just to see if you'll get angry, or you turn to rubber or turn to blubber, or if you can hold her steady and calm her down. If you've been failing this test, she might be repeating this test to see if you can get better at it. Even if you pass, she might repeat it just to see if you can keep passing. Remember, she's really got to kick the tires good on this ride. It's the most important decision of her life. I repeat, it is the most important decision of her life and also your life. And most women have no idea how to evaluate the possibilities.
One thing could really bother her is that she's worried she's not the right woman for you. Among everything else going on, she likely worried about her readiness for marriage, for her career. The good women aren't worried so much about this one. And her readiness for raising a family. She's worried that you love her now, but will you love her after the years and the childbearing run roughshod on her body? If she's in her late 30s or later, she's worried that will you still love her if she couldn't give you any children? And if you both say you don't want children, she's worried if that is the right decision. It's probably not.
And lastly, she might have a mental illness. Do not discount the possibility. Trauma, especially childhood trauma, is a prolific producer of mental illness. And there's a lot of trauma out there. One mental illness you should be aware of is called borderline personality disorder, or BPD. It's a mental health condition where a person has long-term patterns, not short-term, of unstable and explosive emotions, resulting in impulsive actions, self-image issues, chaotic relationships with other people. It usually begins during adolescence or early adulthood. People with BPD have extreme mood swings, instability in interpersonal relationships, and trouble controlling their emotions. They have a higher risk of suicide and self-destructive behavior. Talk therapy is the main treatment for BPD. People with BPD often have problems with daily tasks, obligations, life events. They are highly sensitive to what is going on around them and can react with intense emotions to small changes in their environment. So be aware of that one. Also, there's bipolar personality disorder. It's a serious mental illness that causes unusual shifts in mood, ranging from extreme highs to extreme lows. The people with bipolar personality disorder also experience changes in their energy, in their thinking and behavior and sleep. Two sides of the bipolar disorder are called mania and depressive. Unlike borderline personality disorder, the mood swings of bipolar disorder are not triggered by interpersonal conflicts. They last days to weeks or months, and episodes are by definition accompanied by changes in sleep, energy, speech, and thinking. Treatment for bipolar disorder varies based on the type of personality disorder, with options such as medication, therapy, and lifestyle changes. The last I want to highlight here for you is the narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD. This is a mental health condition where a person has an exaggerated sense of self-importance and a sense of entitlement, requiring excessive and constant admiration behaving in an arrogant manner that is perceived as conceited, boastful, or pretentious. One exaggerates talents and achievements, has a preoccupation with fantasies about beauty, power, and success, a tendency to monopolize conversations. They take advantage of others and are unable or unwilling to recognize the feelings and needs of others. These are only the 3 of the mental illnesses that I've chosen to highlight that affect people. They take years or even decades to overcome. Even when the sufferer is fully acknowledging and of the severity of their illness and are working hard to overcome it, it can still take years or decades that you don't really have. So if that's the case, it's time to wish her well and move on.
In summary, if your girl is just a garden variety emotional stormy sea and not mentally ill, have some sympathy for her. Life is really hard. But listening to people who have been through a bit of it will help. Stop using her for sex. Listen to her. Make her feel being loved. Become the man for her by being her emotional anchor. Don't let her emotions start making your emotion come unhinged. And don't let her bring your own anger. Don't appease her with meaningless gifts. Just be the source of her calm and love her. Become closer to the ideal man that she needs. Grow your body, your mind, and spirit. Ask her to grow with you, but not when she is a emotional wreck. If you do all of this, you will find that her loving and sweet side will become dominant and anger will evaporate away.
Well, thank you, Aunt May. That's wonderful, and we hope this helps you. We hope this helps you understand your girlfriend a little bit better, and hopefully given you some keys to really make your relationship grow and blossom. So thank you for listening. You're wonderful, and we ask that you hit that like button. We hope you did like it, so if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more, and share this with your friends. Share this with someone who you know that might be going through this type of trouble. So until next time, this is Uncle Garrett.
This is Aunt May. Thank you for watching.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.